$38,000. That's what a yard in Oriental, North Carolina quoted a 72-year-old man to make his trawler right again, more than the boat would ever sell for. He'd owned her 11 years, and now he had to choose between the bill and the boat. He didn't buy a bad boat. He bought a good boat that got a little heavier every year he got older. That's the trap nobody warns you about. When you're 50, a boat is a project you look forward to. When you're 70, that same boat is a list of jobs standing between you and the water, and every one of them costs more than it used to because now you're paying a yard to do what you used to do yourself on a Saturday. The boat didn't change. You did, and the wrong boat punishes you for it. Meanwhile, there's a man on the new boat lot with a brochure already folded open to the financing page. He wants to sell you the big one. Twin turbo diesels, a helm full of glass screens, a bridge you climb a ladder to reach, and enough varnished teak to keep a shipwright employed for the rest of your natural life. More power, more flash, less money down. He is selling you the boat that looks like retirement. He is not selling you the boat you can still run at 78. That's what I want to do today. 5 luxury trawlers, real ones, boats that turn heads at the fuel dock, picked for the one thing the brochures never mention, the lowest maintenance load you can buy in this class. The one simple enough that a good weekend costs you a fuel filter and an oil change, not a yard bill. We're counting up to the one I'd hand my own father. Stay with me to the end for that. I've spent more of my life under boats than on top of them, so let me give you the number that runs underneath all of this. Figure the true cost of owning a boat at roughly 10% of her value every single year. And on an older trawler, the biggest slice of that 10% isn't fuel, and it isn't dockage. It's maintenance. It's the teak, the tanks, the wiring, the systems. That's the part that grows as the boat ages, and it's the part that quietly decides whether you're still boating at 80 or selling at 73. Now here's what the man on the new boat lot won't tell you. A naturally aspirated diesel from the 1980s, a Ford Lehman 120, a Lehman 135, is about the simplest engine that ever turned a propeller. No electronics, no high-pressure common rail, no sensor that strands you 200 miles from the nearest dealer. A wrench, a fuel filter, clean oil, and she runs another season. Those blocks go 10, 15,000 hours. The flashy new turbo diesel makes more power, and it costs you 4 times as much the afternoon a sensor decides it's finished. On a boat you plan to grow old with, simple isn't a compromise. Simple is the entire point. Keep that in your head while we count. One more thing the surveyor will tell you if you ask the right question. On these older trawlers, the hull outlives the systems by decades. The fiberglass is fine at 40 years. It's the wiring, the tanks, the steering, the plumbing that wear out and cost you. So the boat you want isn't the one with the shiniest hull. It's the one where the last owner already did the systems work and kept the receipts to prove it. The simple, well-loved ones don't sit long on the market either, because there's a whole generation of buyers looking for exactly this, and there aren't many left. We start at number 5, the Mainship 400 trawler, built in Florida in the mid-2000s, and for my money, the most boat a normal person can step aboard without inheriting a second job. 40 feet, single-level living aft, molded-in steps with real footing instead of a ladder, and this is the part that matters. A lot of them left the factory with no exterior teak at all. Nothing to sand, nothing to varnish. You wash her down and you're done. Get the single-engine version, the one with the Yanmar 6 LYA, 370 horses, one shaft, one set of filters, one thing to check on. Add the bow and stern thrusters most of them already carry, and a couple in their 70s can walk her into a tight slip in a crosswind without a deckhand and without a shouting match. A clean one runs you a bit over $200,000. A higher hour boat, quite a bit less. And they don't sit, because everybody chasing the Great Loop wants this exact boat. The Mainship doesn't ask much of you. At this stage of the game, that's exactly what you're paying for. Number 4, the Nordic Tug 37, the one out of Anacortes, Washington that looks like a working tugboat and cruises like a Swiss watch. Hand-laid hull, full keel, a single Cummins 6 BTA sitting under the pilot house floor. And this is the number that ends the argument. At an 8-knot cruise, she burns about 2 gallons an hour. 2. You could run her all weekend on what the salesman's flashy 40-footer drinks before lunch. The genius of her, for an owner who's slowing down a half step, is access. The engine room is 2 hatches in the pilot house sole. You lift them and you're standing over everything. Filters, belts, through holes, all of it right there, no crawling, no contortions. 26 years they built this boat basically unchanged because they got it right the first time and buyers wouldn't let them stop. She's not cheap, a good one lands north of $300,000, and she doesn't apologize for it because a Nordic Tug holds its value like almost nothing else afloat. That money doesn't disappear, it sits in the boat. 2 gallons an hour and a slip you can leave from alone on a Tuesday morning. That's the whole pitch. Before I get to the top 3, if you're getting something out of this, do me the one small favor that keeps this channel running. Tap the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet. I put these together for the folks who'd rather spend their money on the right boat than learn the hard way on the wrong one. That's all it is. Now, the 3 that truly earn the word luxury. Number 3, the DeFever 44. This is where the word trawler starts to mean something. A full-beam master with a real queen berth, a proper aft cabin, a sun deck you could host a dinner party on. Arthur DeFever drew these to cross oceans and live aboard for months at a stretch, and a couple in their 70s settles into one like a hand into a worn glove. Under the floor, twin Ford Lehman diesels, 120 or 135 horsepower each, naturally aspirated. I told you those blocks go 15,000 hours. I meant it. You'll find these boats sitting at 6,000 hours with decades of life still in them, and parts are a phone call, not a scavenger hunt. Now let me be fair, because I promised you I would. Everybody tells you twins burn more and cost more to keep up, and on paper, they are right. But for an older skipper docking short-handed, a second engine is a second way home, and a second way to twist her into the wind off a piling. Sometimes that extra filter is worth every bit of the peace of mind. 2 cautions, because I'd want them myself. The black iron fuel tanks rust with age and they are a brute to pull, and the wooden window frames will leak if nobody's kept after them. But find one where a previous owner already stripped the exterior teak and shot the decks in all grip, and you've got a genuine ocean crossing home with almost nothing left to fight. And that's the whole game with these older trawlers, knowing which one's somebody already fixed and which one's hiding a $30,000 job behind a coat of fresh paint, which is exactly why I put everything I know into the Boats Worth Buying playbook. How to read a survey, what to make a broker prove before you write a check, which maintenance records actually mean something, and which ones are just wallpaper. It walks you through how to buy, own, and sell a used boat without sinking your savings. It's a small number up front, so the big number, the $38,000 at the counter, never shows up on your invoice. Links in the description, and there's a QR code on screen if you'd rather scan it, or work it out on your own, and everything I've told you still holds. Number 2, and you knew she was coming, the Grand Banks 42 Classic, the most recognizable trawler ever built, and the one boat on this list that can go either way on you, hard. Here's the fork in the road. The Grand Banks is a beautiful thing with wide walk-around decks, safe, sure footing for older legs, no ladders, no gymnastics to get forward. Get the fiberglass hull, 1973 or later, with the Ford Lehman 120S underneath, and you've got the same bulletproof simplicity we've been talking about all day. 3 gallons an hour, 1,000-mile range. But that teak deck is the whole ball game. A leaking teak deck is the exact job that priced our man in Oriental off his own boat $38,000 to make it right. So you do not buy the pretty one with the original decks and tell yourself you'll get to it someday. You buy the one where somebody already spent that money, pulled the teak, shot the deck in all grip non-skid, epoxied the trim. That boat is out there, all over the market, and it costs barely more than the one that's about to hand you the bill. Let that land. That's not bright work waiting on you. That's a standing appointment with a sander that you get to cancel because the last owner already kept it. A clean Lehman-powered 42 runs somewhere from $100,000 to $180,000, and the de-teaked ones are worth every dollar at the top of that. Buy the boat somebody already saved. And number 1, the boat I'd hand my own father, the Kadey Krogen 42. Art Kadey and Jim Krogen built this one to cross oceans, and they gave her the single thing that matters most to an owner who wants less to worry about. One engine. One engine buys you something the brochures never bother to price. One transmission, one shaft, one propeller, one stuffing box, one set of fuel filters, one oil change, half the fuel burn of everything else on this water. Everything that can break, need service, or wake you up at 2 in the morning, there's one of it, not 2. That single Ford Lehman 135 pushes her full displacement hull at 8 knots on 3 gallons an hour, and with her 700 gallons aboard, she'll run 2,000 miles without ever seeing a fuel dock. Slow her to 6 knots and that range stretches past 5,000. The hull is a foam core fiberglass sandwich built for crossing oceans, and it does not care that it's 40 years old. And a Krogen holds its value better than anything else in this whole conversation because the people who understand these boats never quite stop wanting them. Wide side decks, a Portuguese bridge to hold onto when it kicks up, a round bottom hull that rides soft in a chop, one engine to love, one engine to fix. That is the whole idea of an easy boat. Drawn 40 years before anybody thought to print the word on a brochure. What I'd buy with my own money? 2 boats, and it honestly depends on the day. If I wanted the looks and the pride of the dock, I'd go hunt down a de-teaked Grand Banks 42, let some other fella have paid for the hard part, and spend my Saturdays running her instead of sanding her. But if I wanted the boat I'd never have to think about again, the one I could still single-hand at 80 with my wife on the bow, it's the Krogen every time. One engine, full tanks, and a clear horizon. Because that's the real test of a boat in this chapter of your life. Not how fast she runs, not how she photographs at sunset, but how little she asks of you on the mornings you'd rather just go. Buy the simple one. Buy the one somebody already fixed. And the next time a salesman folds that brochure open to the financing page, you'll already know the boat he's selling isn't the boat you want to grow old with.